Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're thrilled to have you here for our webinar. Our webinar today is called Unlock the Power of Student Insights, Mentor Collective's Partner Dashboard. My name is Jen Caius, and I'll be your host for today's session. I'll be joined later by two of my colleagues, Lydia and Shannon. And today we're going to explore how the Partner Dashboard can empower you to gain deeper insights into your students' experiences and outcomes. We'll talk through how to navigate several features on the dashboard and how to leverage those insights to enhance your mentoring programs and support your students. Before we dive in, just a couple quick housekeeping things. This webinar is being recorded, and we'll share that recording with you afterwards in a follow-up email. We'll also share in that email some related educational resources that can be helpful for you in using the dashboard and the information you learned today. On the screen, check out just a couple of best practices for ensuring your virtual experience with us today is seamless. I've muted all of you as you join in just to keep the noise down. Ensure your camera is on if you feel comfortable or if you're able to do so. It makes it a more engaging experience for everyone. Adjust your video layout to speaker view so that you can keep track of who's talking and what's going on. And feel free to chat your name and institution in the chat. I love to get to know you better and see where folks are coming from. And finally, at the very end of our session today, we'll have a Q&A. So we'll be able to answer any questions that you may have then. And you're also always welcome to email questions that you have after this. All right, so today, again, my name's Jen Caius. I'm a customer education manager here at Mentor Collective, and I'll be joined by Shannon LeCount, who's vice president of strategic initiatives here at Mentor Collective. She'll be addressing how to use the partner dashboard for institution-wide strategy and how some of those features can provide insights that drive that strategy forward. We'll also be joined by Lydia Anderson, who's a partner onboarding manager here at MC, and she'll be talking through how to use those features for program efficiency to maximize your program's impact. All right, so I see some great introductions here in the chat. I'd also love to see, using the Zoom emojis feature, how long you've been a Mentor Collective partner. So if you've been with us for under a year, please go ahead and use that rocket ship, that Zoom emoji rocket ship. If you've been with us for between 1 and 2 years, go ahead and give us a heart. And if you've been with us for over 2 years, give us a sun. I'm putting my view so I can see all of your faces. This is great. I'm seeing a lot of hearts, some suns, a couple rocket ships. That's wonderful. Wonderful. Well, it's so nice to see all of you, our newer partners. Thank you for coming. And our legacy partners, we're really excited to hopefully show you something new. All right, so to jump into today's session, we're going to start with a quick poll using menti.com. So on your phone, just head to menti.com, menti.com, and type in this code right here. So 25298902. Again, that's menti.com, 25298902. And once you're there, I'd love to know, why do you currently access your partner dashboard? So we have four choices here. The first, what is the dashboard? And then I'm really glad that you're here so that you can get a quick highlights on what your dashboard can do for you. But also these three other reasons, right? So to act on individual student data. So to better understand what's coming out of your students' conversations, what flags might be happening, their goals, to monitor your program performance, to see how your program might be doing in comparison to previous years or to the goals that you've set, to inform institutional decisions such as your overall student success strategy. So to bring the information that you glean from the dashboard back to your student success team at your institution and make a strategy, an overall strategy. And you can choose more than one option. Fabulous. So I'm seeing a good mix of folks here. This is really wonderful to see. All three of those items there. So acting on individual student data, monitoring program performance, and informing institutional decisions. Those are all three great ways that you can use your dashboard. And Lydia and Shannon are going to talk through some of the ways to do that in just a second. So wonderful that you're all here. All right, so last slide before I kick it over to Lydia. Today we're going to be talking about the partner dashboard. We're going to go into a demo of how to use some of these features, and Shannon will give us some insights on how to create institutional impact using those features. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Lydia.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to talk with you all. I'm going to go ahead and take over screen sharing. Like Jen mentioned, we'll be popping into the dashboard quite a bit. I'll spend a lot of time looking at some of these things, talking about how you can utilize these features, but the dashboard is very robust, so we could talk about it for hours, but we wanted to focus our efforts, our attention on kind of 4 key features in the dashboard today. And these, again, will help you leverage the dashboard more effectively. And I also think, and my goal is to highlight what I believe are some hidden gems within the dashboard that can help you have practical applications and also strategic applications. So we're going to be looking at matching survey data together, mentee goals, flags, and conversation data, as well as our non-cognitive assessments that Mentor Collective supports you in collecting. So our first one that we'll take a look at is that matching survey data. And I first wanted to start off by also orienting you to what you see on the right-hand side of the screen, which is those outcomes that we aim to help you achieve through these key features. So Mentor Collective is really big on understanding your goals and understanding the key outcomes that you're hoping to achieve through partnering with Mentor Collective and running a successful mentorship program. So each feature that I'll be talking about will be focusing on and highlighting also the outcomes that they help you achieve. So matching survey data is going to support you on acting on student-provided data individually and also in aggregate, and then also supporting targeted student populations at those critical times in their educational journey. So again, we'll look at them. Wanted to really focus on, even regardless of where you are in kind of your how long you've been with Mentor Collective or where you are in the program, this matching survey data comes pretty quickly to you. So wanted to start off with talking about that. Context for folks that are a little bit newer to Mentor Collective or just at the start of the journey with us. I know there's some folks in here that I'm working with currently in onboarding. Wanted to talk a little bit about where this matching survey data comes from and what the matching survey is. So when participants are invited to register for the platform, for the program, they're going to go through a process of completing a matching survey. And there's around 15 questions, lots of data points that are asked on that survey. And Mentor Collective uses that information to make the really great mentor-mentee matches within the program, right? We have that algorithm that we find commonalities between participants and make the matches through that. But you actually have access to all of that matching survey data as well. And I want to demonstrate how you can find that information on the dashboard and some practical ideas for what you can do. Because again, the matching survey collects data on academic and career interests, some background information, life experiences, hobbies. So there's lots of really great student reported data that's derived from the matching survey, and it all lives in your dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and let's hop into our dashboard. Feel free to follow along if you want to. If you have access to your dashboard already, feel free to pull it up. Or I'll be in the driver's seat the whole time, and you can always watch the recording later to kind of follow along with me then. So if we're hopping into the dashboard here, I first wanted to show you where you can find where your matching surveys are, or what your matching surveys are. So if we clicked on this mentorships tab here, you likely will have an option that says view matching surveys. That allows you to see what the current matching survey is that's attached to your program. If you don't see this feature, talk to your partner success manager, because there's an ability for them to toggle this on or off. So if you want to have an opportunity to, again, review the questions that are on there, you can do so that way. But let's head over to the participants tab now to check out what you can do with this information and where some of the information lives from our participants page. So I've clicked on that, and we have this awesome button up at the top that's filter participants. So we click on here, you'll notice that there's a lot of different data points that can be filtered on. And a lot of this information that you'll see here is actually generated, again, from that matching survey, right? Career interests, like I mentioned, challenges, first generation status, gender, hobbies, etc. So let's say, for example, an email comes across your desk that is about a scholarship for transfer students, and you want to pinpoint which of your participants are transfer students and who you should encourage to apply. So we can do that directly from here, right? We have the ability to click on here and identify all of my participants who are those transfer students. If I click apply, that's going to show me all of the participants in my program that have indicated on the matching survey that they are a transfer student. I can easily export those filtered results and generate an email for those participants based off of that thing that they indicated there. You can further refine that. So say, for example, the scholarship is only for new transfer students. So some that just came to the institution, and that is a population that you invite as a mentee. You can refine that just to see who your mentees are. And you may also want to further refine it or filter it based off of program status as well. So maybe it's just those students that are currently active in your program, right? So they have registered, or they've completed their onboarding, or they're matched. So you can also refine by that program status as well. And we click apply, and you'll notice that generates about 23 students that have indicated on their matching survey that they are a transfer student. And again, you can easily export that and send a quick email to say, hey, the scholarship opportunity might be of interest to you. I encourage you to apply. But let's say that you want to leverage the power of your student voice and student influence. We can use the mentorships page to actually identify of these students, who's their mentor, right? Maybe we want to actually have the mentor do the outreach to say, you are matched with a student who's a transfer student. This scholarship opportunity came across my desk. Would you please reach out to them? So we can do the same thing here. If we click on filter mentorships, and we're going to, again, up here, it defaults to mentors first. But if we scroll down, we want to know who our mentees are, who are transfer students. We can click on that. Is a transfer student, and then we want to see also individuals or mentorships that are currently matched in the program. So we're going to select that. It defaults to showing, or the mentorship page defaults to showing all of the mentorships that have ever been formed in your program. That can include those that are currently matched and maybe some that have been unmatched for that historical purposes for you. So if you want to refine it just for this purpose, just for students who are currently matched, you would do that through the match status. And if we apply that here, now we're seeing 21 students who you could 21 mentors that you could reach out to say, hey, you're matched with one of our awesome transfer students. This scholarship might be useful for them. Can you please encourage them to apply, and even support them in identifying how to write that scholarship essay, or going to the writing center to write that, to get support in writing that scholarship essay. So in a lot of ways, this mentorship feature can help you to or this mentorships page can help you identify which mentor is matched with those particular students. Let's say, for example, it's really great, right, to be able to pinpoint and drill down and see specific individuals in your program based off of matching survey data, but maybe you want to have the ability to see all of the responses to that matching survey. the dashboard also allows you to do that through our exports tab. So if we click on exports here, there is an option to see this matching survey data, and you can export it in a CSV file, the mentors' responses, every response that you received on the for the matching survey for mentees. And it allows you to really see a full picture of the participant responses. Quickly, we'll show you what example of that matching survey data looks like. So you'll get a full file that has, if it's what type of user it is, information about them here, and really wanted to pinpoint another or show you another great question that's asked, which is tell us about yourself. So this question has a lot of really awesome student reported data, like they're interested in studying abroad or interested in Greek life if they're a commuter student. So this report, this export, can really help you again think about strategically and practically maybe some support services that you want to share with these particular individuals. Maybe there's a study abroad fair that's coming up, or maybe you want to let all of these advisors know, hey, this particular student is interested in studying abroad, or these group of students are interested in studying abroad. Might be worth having that conversation about a future semester, planning that into their academic plan. So those are kind of three quick hits of what you can do with this matching survey data. And I'm gonna hop back over to Shannon to talk more about the strategy, and if she needs me to demo anything on the dashboard,
Yeah.
keep screen sharing over here.
Thanks, Lydia. And actually, I'm going to have you go back to the export because that's what
Yeah.
we're going to focus on right now. So hello, everybody. I'm Shannon. I'm about to share a link to an article with you in the chat. And that is a link to the summary article from a recent webinar we did on the 6 elements of a culture of mentorship. Our Jen, who is your host today, and our colleague Annemiek put together a great framework to highlight the 6 elements that can make for a really successful mentorship program, and shared some campus examples of each of those elements. We're also going to highlight a few of those elements today, which is why I am linking that article for you in case you aren't familiar with it. So the matching survey, Lydia did such a great job of showing you where that information shows up in immediate dashboards that you can use that information right away and intervene with individual students. I have a background in institutional effectiveness and assessment. So I like to think about things strategically and how we can use the data as a whole. So Lydia, scrolling a little bit, you're going to find a column that has a yellow highlight at the top. That is a question that gets asked on on the matching survey. And that is, hey, mentee, what is one short-term question you want your mentor to answer? And notice it will say, we may share this with your mentor. This information isn't automatically shared with the mentor because students may share things that are appropriate for the administrators of this program to manage, but maybe not immediately appropriate for the mentor to see. So there's a little bit of a buffer there. But this information is available to you in that export. And you may say, ugh, I don't want to look at 250 of these responses and figure out what to do with them. So I will tell you that I grabbed this column, put it into ChatGPT and said, summarize these data for me. And it gave me five topics or 5 themes in the things that students are looking for from their mentors. Luckily, 3 of them were very appropriate for what we would want mentors to address. They were time management, personal development, like how do I make friends and how do I navigate campus? And then the university community, how do I become engaged? What's it like to be on campus? That's fantastic. And summarizing that data and sharing it with your mentors will help them know what to talk about in those first, maybe slightly awkward interactions with their mentee. We do great training and we teach people how to introduce themselves to each other, but it's also helpful to point out, hey, these are the things that are important to mentees as a whole. Why don't you go to the resources in the resource library? Maybe while I'm talking, Lydia, you can show where the resource area is on the dashboard and share these things with your mentees. The other 2 topics, though, that came up when I used AI to summarize 150 lines of data in 15 seconds were students or academic questions. Now, this again is important for mentors to know, but it's also more important for advisors to know. So letting the advising team or the advising team in the specific schools know about this, to know that students are looking for help in multiple ways. They're talking to peers, and these are the students specifically that are interested in academic advisement or help. A little bit of encouragement to those students to check in with their advisors, and a little heads up to the advisors that these students are giving us this information of their own free will. It's not that easy to get that information out of people. And when they are self-disclosing this, we want to make sure we act on it. The final thing I want to say is the last theme was students have career questions. Now, students are coming into the mentorship program typically at the beginning of their experience. But they may be further along in their college experience. Either way, career services should know that students have these questions, right? They want to talk to their peer about it, and they may not know that this additional support is available to them on campus. So boosting your student success strategy and all those programs that you have for your students can be enhanced from just a little bit of data and a little bit of time looking at the matching survey right at the beginning of the school year or right at the beginning of the program.
Awesome. We'll
Yeah.
move on to our next topic. So we will move on to something that's pretty related to the matching survey because it actually comes from the matching survey, but that's how to leverage the goals that mentees have shared with you in that matching survey. So this is going to help you act on student provided data individually and also in aggregate, and then allow you also to monitor the mentorship journey based on some patterns that we're seeing related to goals, right? So a little context again about where the mentee goals come from. On the survey, they're asked, what is one longer term goal you'd like your mentor to help with? And they have a series of options that they can select from. And that is generated in your dashboard. You can see it visually. You can also filter on it, which I'll show you here in a minute. But then I'll also show you how it shows up for the mentors as well, because they have access to this information. So let's hop into the dashboard once again, and we're going to take a quick look at, we start on this main dashboard page. You're going to want to scroll down kind of the midpoint, and we're going to click on participant traits here. So on this participant traits, there's lots of great information, but we'll focus on this top bar graph, which is the mentee goals. So here we can see that in this program, the majority of our mentees their top goal is succeeding in classes, right? Followed closely behind by managing stress and self-care. So this can help you to visualize a bird's eye view of the top goals that your students have indicated in the program. That could help you think about potential webinars that you might want to host or workshops that you might want to host, or also what gaps in resources available on your campus, or even providing them information about the resources that do exist on that campus, events that are happening on your campus that are related to those items. This is an interactive chart, so you can actually click on any of these bar graphs, and it will take you directly to the participants page and pre-apply some filters on here for you. So the mentee and their goal on here. You can always start directly from the participant goal or for the participant page, I should say. If we clear the filters and click filter participants, you can also find the same information directly from here. So if we selected the participant type and clicked on mentees, we're going to scroll down and you'll have the option now to select the goals. So you can understand and drill down a little bit further on those goals. So say, for example, you know that there's a career fair coming up and you want to see, okay, which of the students in this program have indicated that preparing for a job or an internship is a top goal that they have. You can do that by selecting that goal and hitting apply. You might further want to refine some other things if you want to, but you absolutely, if you're just interested in knowing about the goals related to preparing for a job, internship, maybe there's a career, like I mentioned, career fair, or there's a career closet to prep for things. You can find those individuals this way. Also have the ability, as always, to export these filtered results here. And it will generate that, export a really great CSV file where you have that contact information. So you can, again, quickly email these participants, inform them of this opportunity. So for example, you can let them know when you registered for this program, you indicated that you wanted help preparing for a job, or preparing for an internship. So I just wanted to make sure that you saw this opportunity. So really the sky's the limit when it comes to using these goals and understanding a little bit more about what goals your mentees have indicated on here. I mentioned or alluded to the fact that while it's on your dashboard and you're able to not only visualize it in a bar chart, filter for it on the participants page, but the mentor is also made aware of their mentees' goals. So I'm quickly going to hop over to the participant view. So you wouldn't have access to this view because this is the mentor dashboard. But when they log in, and they're matched with individuals, they have the ability to click on a particular mentee, and it will let them know what Eddie's goal is that they indicated for the matching survey. And then it also generates some options for resources, so some suggested resources that they can review in advance of a conversation with their mentee. They click on see all related resources. It's going to pull in all of the preloaded resources that Mentor Collective has attached to your program that are related to this particular goal or tagged with this particular goal. So say, for example, Eddie's goal is to succeed in classes, then maybe they want to talk about time management and organization. So this particular mentor can review the information prior to that conversation. I'll also point out that a lot of these resources do point to other services on your campus or other offices, departments. So there's a lot of great resources there for the participants and for the mentors to be cued in of, oh, we were talking about these things, but there is a resource available on my campus that I might want to share with the mentee as well. They can also copy the URL to email directly to their participants or their counterparts. And so that's available to them. I'll pop back into your dashboard, the partner dashboard, because you have the ability to also see these resources. So while they live in the participant dashboard and they use it a lot, you can also filter the resources by mentee goal as well. So you could filter for time management, see the resources that are available to participants, review the content of those resources, and you also have the ability to share directly with mentors or with mentees with that URL. And I'll pass it back to Shannon to talk about some of the strategic application with mentee goals.
Yeah, thanks, Lydia. So to bring it back to the framework, the 6 elements that make a successful mentorship program, when we're focusing on mentee goals, we're talking about being participant-centered. This is mentees giving us giving you this information and saying, this is what's important to me. This is what I want to accomplish. So we're really, you have the ability to really focus on what they want and connect with them in an authentic way. Also, just because I have been around a while, I know that a lot of the campuses and folks represented on this call probably have fostering a sense of belonging as a major element of having a peer mentorship program. We want to create that sense of belonging, and there are multiple ways of doing this. This is not a paid endorsement, but if any of you know about this book, it is The Impact of Sense of Belonging in College. One of the editors is Gavin Henning, and I had the opportunity to hear a keynote from him at a recent retention symposium. And he talked about there's different types of belonging, right? If we want to establish or foster belonging, we can think about it in different ways, and the goals come into play here. So Lydia, if you'd click on that top goal, the one that's about academic success, these are all students saying that academics are important to them. Lydia, if you'd go to the filters and just expand the major filter, One of the ways of establishing academic belonging is to give students opportunities to take part in discipline-based activities, giving them discipline-based opportunities. This is how easily you can find what students are, for whom academics are really important, and figuring out what their major is, what school they're in, or what a discipline area that they intend to work in or to have their education in. I can promise you that those disciplines have some sort of engaging opportunity, whether it's undergrad research or a club and organization specific to that discipline. This is great to share with the students to give them specific information about that for the mentees directly, but more strategically to reach out to the leaders, whether they're student leaders or faculty leaders or department leaders, to say these students have indicated academics is really important to them, and we know that establishing belonging within your department is going to be great if you invite them to those opportunities. So again, it narrows down our audience and the people who are most likely to say yes and take advantage of those student success opportunities. The same thing, social belonging, that's when we can have identity-based opportunities. You can do the same thing I just said with majors, but instead of majors, you would look at hobbies. I think it's above it, Lydia. I just tested it myself. So right, if you have clubs and organizations and opportunities for students to engage based on the things they like to do and the way they identify, this is another way of narrowing that down and being really specific and targeted by inviting the students directly who have said this, but also letting the leaders of those clubs, organizations, various opportunities know about them. Again, all of this information is available in detail in the export, in the matching survey export, because that's where we ask about these types of things. But that would be a different application, right? To look at it all in the same place. So that is making or using the mentees' goals to be participant centered and hopefully get students engaged in other ways.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's head back over and take a look at our third topic that we wanted to discuss with you all today, which is flags and conversations. And I don't think there's any debate on the engagement, the flags and the conversations being a powerful feature for you to track students, track student insights, address challenges that students are experiencing, and have proactive and reactive interventions for them. These two features that we'll talk about today, they aim to help you, again, support targeted student populations and also interpret aggregate data of those top concerns, key topics. So we're going to take a quick look first at the flags, and I hope to point out, again, some hidden gems related to these two features that you might not have stumbled across yet or haven't used widely. So if we head back to the dashboard, we're going to click on this flags page. And this program does a really great job of reviewing all of their flags. So they don't have any pending flags, but we can always go to our All Flags tab, which is going to show you every single flag that has been submitted to your program. Just a quick context for where flags come from. So when a mentor and a mentee pair are communicating during the training, mentors are instructed to raise concerns that they're hearing from their mentees and inform program administrators about those concerns. So they have the ability in their dashboard to report a conversation, and part of that workflow or that process flow is also answering questions about, was there anything that came forward that's a concern, whether immediate or not immediate, that your mentee might have mentioned. So that's how our flag is generated. But you have the ability from this page to also further filter, further refine, and pinpoint maybe particular student groups or demographics or data points that you know about the student, right? So on here, briefly just show you, right, you can see the date reported, priority status, the topic, but I wanted to focus, surprise, on the filter. So if we click on filter, we can identify some additional information about those particular mentees. So say, for example, we're interested in understanding what flags have been submitted for our first generation college students that are in our program. So if we click on the first generation tab, we're going to select that they are a first generation student, and then we're going to click apply. And then we see these 33 flags that have come through and been reported by a mentor on our first gen population. So this can be really useful for you if, say, for example, you're asked to spearhead a particular committee related to first gen student success, and you want to gain a better insight on what particular flags are coming up for this particular population. You can do the same thing. I'll show you in a minute for the conversations piece, but it can really help you to pinpoint and maybe understand a little bit more about what concerns are popping up for particular student groups, even high-risk student groups. And just a quick plug here for institutional provided data. So you'll notice here at the bottom, there's these 5 options that say UU, which stands for Uplift University, such a great institution. And this is data that this institution has shared with Mentor Collective, and we've tagged their participants with that data. Because remember, this first generation college status up here and all of this other data is student reported, self-reported data through the matching survey. And it's probably no surprise that there might be some discrepancies between what students report and what the institution has on file for them. So if you're someone or your program really needs to have institution data attached to particular students and you want to run analyses related to that data, you certainly can share that file with your partner success manager, and we'll make sure that those data points get attached. So this one in particular, I think, is interesting. Think about some practical applications. Say we wanted to further refine our first generation college students, but that are on academic probation. So this institution provided us with their status as of spring 2023. So actually we can drill down and see that there are 7 students of first generation college students who have flags reported that are also on academic probation. So this could be something where you connect with the academic advisor and really do some targeted outreach related to these particular students because they might be a retention risk, right? So this is one way that you can use these filters on the flags page to further understand a little bit more about what is going on with these particular students and concerns that are coming up. If we hop over quickly to the conversations page, so flags are really great kind of on that individual level. Like we saw, right, you're able to drill down, you can filter, you can see the flag information. Didn't point it out, but you can export that information if you need to do anything with that. You can also see conversations. So this is broadly the topics that in aggregate folks are talking about, right? So you can see specifically the mentee, the mentor pairs, the conversations that they've reported, the date that is reported. And it can also, if you apply some filters, it can really come to life again to understand a little bit more. So say, for example, we wanted to understand there's certain things that are coming up more for transfer students versus our non-transfer student population. You could apply that filter. I could also see a lot of really great use cases for if you had commuter student status versus our residential students. What are the topics that are coming up for one group versus another group? It can really help you to dive into and do a little more analyses. And it can also help you to think through, are there particular conversation topics that are coming up at a particular time? And do I want to be proactive about providing resources to the mentors to talk about those things, or to provide custom resources to have uploaded into this page related to particular conversation topics that are coming up. So this, again, has a lot of different use cases. And I think that I think these pieces too are a little more, like I said, kind of hidden gems and a little more underutilized. So I definitely recommend you talking to your partner success manager to strategize on how you can use this information. They have plenty of ideas of how to leverage this and you to take advantage of what's already there. With that, I'll pass it back to Shannon to talk about the strategic applications for these.
Thank you. Yeah. And so when we talk about flags and conversations, the element from the framework of successful mentorships is being resourced, right? Having this information does nothing if we don't act on it and we don't do things about it. We're all human beings, and I'm sure we've had experience where we have either asked for help or looked for support, and when we were acknowledged, even if someone couldn't help us, it felt better than if we were completely dismissed or we thought our request or ask went into the void. So we want to, having a mentorship program that is well resourced so that it can use this data and you can act on this data, that helps establish institutional belonging. Institutional belonging is when students feel their needs are being met and they're being supported. So clear communication and honest communication, interactions that are honest and positive, and then also support when it's possible. That really, that helps establish, and that's where the flag and conversation information can come in. If you were to look on your dashboard on the front page under the engagement tab, you'll be able to see the conversation topics or the flag topics, whichever you want to filter through, when they peak, right? When mentors are reporting that they're having a lot of financial aid conversations or they're having a lot of academic conversations. Academics is almost always a major topic. People are at college because they want to learn things and they want to get a degree. But go ahead. There were lots of rockets and hearts and suns on here, so I know you've been around a while. Take a look at your past program data and see when those conversation topics peak, so that you can, as Lydia said, talk to your support person at Mentor Collective and get all the ideas of how you can intervene before those conversations are happening, or you can support those conversations. More significant to being resourced, though, health and wellness flags often come up. And those are things that we want to act on as quickly as possible. So sharing that information with a counseling center, sharing that information immediately when the flags come through, that's something that as you all probably know, can happen within the program. But that data is also actionable or useful in a larger strategy. I'm sure all of you have programming that happens right before the holidays or right before the breaks or right before finals. Those are critical times when people are feeling stressed and anxious and sad and all of the things where it might be nice to have that extra support in those extra support programs. But if your residence halls have special programs already organized around those times, let those resident advisors know who may have a flag that is relevant, that they can do a little special intervention, or they can know a little bit more. Residence hall advisors, success coaches, counselors, those are all good audiences for sharing appropriate flag and conversation data when necessary. The one other thing I want to point out, given where we are in the year right now, so this is being recorded, you might be listening to it at a different time, but it's May. And a lot of you all may have programs that are ending, and mentors and mentees can stay connected if they want, but the cycle of the program is probably coming to an end. Yet, from now until September is the most vulnerable time for those students to maybe decide to not come back. So thinking ahead maybe to your next iteration and extending it, or having a way of connecting with those students or keeping them connected over the summer might be an adjustment to the program that you want to do. And that's another way of strategically using this data and thinking about it.
Awesome. Well, we'll move on to our last topic, which is related to using non-cognitive assessments to support program participants. So these assessments provide really actionable data to help you foster some key non-cognitive factors at critical times in a student's experience, and also allow you to act on that student provided data both individually and in aggregate. A little bit of context related to these assessments. Mentor Collective supports you in assessing these non-cognitive factors up to 3 times per program, depending on your program design and the duration of your program. We'll support you at assessing this at the beginning of your program, the midpoint, and also again at the end. And the factors that these assessments measure are closely connected to retention, academic success, and positive student outcomes. So really key information for you to understand kind of retroactively looking back, as Shannon mentioned, right? If you're at the tail end of your program, you can see the data that was gathered through these assessments through start, mid, and end. But also if you're thinking ahead, we might be thinking about when to actually do these assessments, right? The timing of these assessments matter, and you can, in consultation with your partner success manager, determine when are the key times that you want to measure these different factors. So again, depending on your program design, the things that we are assessing, helping you assess, are sense of belonging, academic self-efficacy, academic help seeking, and also career decision self-efficacy. So I'll talk and demo in the dashboard 3 different ways that the dashboard allows you and helps you access and also act on that assessment data. So let's pop back into the dashboard. And we are going to actually start on this main dashboard page and scroll up a little bit, and you'll see this assessment tab. If you don't see the assessment tab, do not fear. It simply means that we've not launched an assessment for you yet. I know some of you in here are folks I've been working with in onboarding. So once we've actually launched one, that it will generate something there. And then you have lots of great visual representation of the data that is available to you on those non-cognitive factors. You can see the average scores, the number of respondents, how it's kind of changed over time, also the distribution of those scores. Wanted to quickly mention and kind of orient you to this average one here and let you know that the start of program assessment is launched to every participant who's registered in the program. So they have the ability to take it only if they, just registered for the program or took the matching survey. But the midpoint and the endpoint is strategically designed to only go to those students that are active, that are matched in the program. So you'll notice if that ever comes up as a question, just wanted to mention that who actually has the ability to access that information and reply to the assessments. On here, I wanted to point out this distribution. I love this pie chart. I think it really helps to visualize the average score and how it's distributed amongst your participants and based off of the assessment area. So here we have you have the ability to toggle between mentors if your program design is launching assessments to mentors and to mentees, and also between the different assessment areas, or academic self-efficacy versus sense of belonging. It's also interactive. So you could click on any of these areas of the pie chart, and it's going to take you to the participants page and pre-apply some filters for you related to assessments. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. But before I do, I also wanted to point out this key feature that I think gets hidden sometimes, which is our little alert bell up at the top. So Mentor Collective recommends, of course, logging into your dashboard at least once per day. And this alert bell can help you easily identify things that have happened since the last time that you logged in. So when a participant submits an assessment and they have answered have a response that is less than 3, which is kind of that midpoint on a scale of 1 to 5, below a 3, it's going to alert you up here. So 15 students have reported low sense of belonging. 4 participants have reported low academic self-efficacy. And I could click on that alert, and it's going to take me directly to that participants page and apply a filter, which is the average sense of belonging score less than 3. So that can help me to quickly identify, pinpoint those particular participants who have answered a question in that way, and we can click on their profile and see a little bit more information about their assessments, right? We have average score up here, but then you have the responses to every single question that's asked on that survey. So we see here, alerted us because Bryce answered a 2 on whether or not they feel like they're an important part of the school's community. So to Shannon's earlier point about kind of assessing institutional belonging, this can be something that you you're utilizing and kind of thinking about both on an individual level for Bryce or the particular students, but also broadly with your participants. So wanted to quickly demonstrate again, like how you can get to that information easily through filters, right? So of course, I mentioned you can click on the pie chart or different things from the assessments tab, click on the alerts, but you can also see that information directly from your participants page by using our handy dandy filter feature. So if we're looking for students, any participant, mentor, mentee, doesn't matter, we want to know about their assessment data. That's the last section on the filters is related to assessments. So we can, I really like to use this feature, especially for those students that maybe are kind of hanging out in the middle, right? So we have, of course, students that are lower. We want to do some interventions for them, or to be aware of that information, reach out, support those students in getting the resources, getting connected with the resources. But also there's students that might indicate that they're right in the midpoint, and that's an opportunity for us to influence it one way or the other. So it can be really useful for you to, at different points in the program, also identify maybe students who are at that midpoint or that low to midpoint. So say, for example, we want to look at sense of belonging again, you have the ability to indicate a particular score that you're interested in seeing. So it could be an exact score, could be between certain things, greater than, less than, etc. So we want to say, between a 1 and a 3, for example. And we click on that. That gives us all of these particular students that fall within that range. And if we click on this student, we again can see a lot of information about them, and especially to some of the other activities that they've done. You'll notice they have a lot of conversation log, which is awesome. I hope that this particular mentor and mentee pair, it's contributing to their sense of belonging. But I wanted to also point out to you that you can filter the activity. So if there's lots of things going on, but you're only curious about the assessments, you can filter just for assessments here. And that will get you to that page. You don't have to scroll. And again, we can see that Alejandro here, right in the middle, for feeling the comfort level at the institution, feeling if they're an important member of the school's community and they feel supported at the institution. So here's an opportunity for us to potentially influence through other things that we might know about this particular student, right? We know about their goals, we know about their hobbies. So kind of tying all of the things together that Shannon shared earlier, maybe think about some proactive interventions to move the needle a little bit on this student's sense of belonging at your institution. And also want to talk a little bit about even that strategy. I kind of alluded to it earlier, but the strategy of the timing of the surveys. So you may, at that midpoint, you may want to work with your partner success manager to actually launch the mid-program survey before they go away for winter break, to see if there's students that are on the fence about their sense of belonging or even low. And you can run some additional analyses to see, are these students that have a low sense of belonging registered for the spring semester? And if they're not, maybe we're providing that list to those academic advisors, or we're doing some additional interventions or strategies to see if we can get them connected with an advisor to register, or understand a little bit more about why they might not be feeling particularly connected or supported by the institution. Also wanted to mention for here, I think it's great to understand, right, who's on the lower end. We want to do some outreach, some strategies, but thinking about as an administrator, I would probably also want to know some individuals who are on the higher end, right? So we can do that same thing by applying the filter to say we want somebody that's greater than a 4 for their sense of belonging. So that can help me to understand and identify, and we can even further refine it to see who's actually still in the program too. So folks that are currently matched in my program, high sense of belonging, these might be individuals that we can do a focus group with. Like, what were some things that what you did, some things you got involved in? Were there particular individuals on campus, a faculty member, a support staff that made you feel connected to this particular institution? And that can also help you to think about what are some some strategies, some interventions for the students that are lower on that end, right? Mentor Collective can support you in doing some micro surveys, or you can think about a survey to send out to these individuals who are in the have reported a high sense of belonging or high academic self-efficacy. It can help you to continue to think about what are ways that we're doing well in these areas. What are some things that the institution is doing well that made these particular students feel connected to the campus? So those are some practical strategies for leveraging assessments. Of course, many, many more that are available to you. And I'm going to hand it back over to Shannon to talk about some strategic applications in more detail.
I'm going to be super fast here because you all have given us a great deal of time, and I appreciate your attention. And those of you who've had your camera on and nodding at us, thank you so much for that, because that makes us feel like we're talking to people. So the way to be thanks, Robbie. Hi. The thing I want to point out is if you are paying attention to this data in your program, the element of a successful mentorship program you are addressing is being data-driven. This is students are giving you this information, you are using it, you are acting on it, and that's fantastic, whether it's at an individual level or strategically using the information across campus. Lydia said this, but I want to double down on it because it's so important. When you all have programs like this that are focused on things like sense of belonging and helping people academically, you are fostering those things. You are fostering a sense of belonging. You are fostering academic help-seeking skills. That doesn't mean you're increasing it, because they might have started up high. It doesn't mean you're decreasing it. They might have started low. It means you are paying attention to where people are at that time and place, and you are acting in the way that is appropriate to help support them in what they need at that time. That's the really important information about, or the value of non-cognitive information. Excuse me, I'm choking on my excitement. One other unpaid endorsement, College Students' Sense of Belonging, Terrell Strayhorn's book. Use a very specific example of what Lydia was pointing out before. If you have bridge programs for students, whether they're first generation students or incoming students, whoever they might be, those are designed to help people really establish a sense of belonging, really get excited about coming to campus. And then they get there and they're all rah-rah, and they take they give their non-cognitive rating, and it's a 5 out of 5. And then a couple of months later, they're students and they're still treated well and they're still having a positive experience, but it's not special anymore. And that sense of belonging might plummet. So sometimes though, if you have a special program and you also have this non-cognitive information from those students, pay attention to those groups specifically. That's not my example. That's Terrell Strayhorn's example. And I think it's worth paying attention to. The last thing, as a person who worked in institutional effectiveness, I cannot walk away without saying this is the most important use of this data in a student success strategy. And that is, in the same way that the matching surveys have the raw data is exportable, so are the assessment surveys. All of the things that Lydia showed you are great for managing the program, but these are also all available in exports that can be automated. Or you can do that, or your IR office, or you can take that information just manually anytime you want. It's a super easy process. You hit the button. But this information is very valuable in other analyses across campus. You all are running your mentorship program, so you care about the efficacy of your program, but there is so much valuable data that is also there for additional analyses. We'll often have partners who say, yeah, our IR office has a survey where we measure things like academic help seeking or sense of belonging once a year in a major survey. Great, but that's once a year. And non-cognitive information is time specific and context specific. So if you can add 3 more data points on belonging and help seeking and academic self-efficacy, that's a way more meaningful analysis. So make sure your IR offices know about these things.
Awesome. I'm going to stop sharing. I hand it over to Jen for any other housekeeping things, but thank you so much for coming and listening to us talk through all of those.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you both, Lydia and Shannon, and all of our guests here. It was a fabulous session. I think we all learned so much. We are bumping up at time here, so we might have time for a quick question if anyone wants to come off mute and ask away. But for folks who need to head out right at 2, we will be sending the recording of this along in a follow-up email, along with some additional educational resources, even the links to the resources that Shannon had raised earlier, and some Partner Knowledge Center articles as well. And if you have any questions that are lingering, or maybe later today, or thinking about today's session and you have a burning question you want to ask, you're more than welcome to always reach out to your PSM, and you also can email us at partnersupport@mentorcollective.org. All right, so if there are any questions that someone wants to pop off mute and ask now, you're more than welcome.
I put this in the chat, but I will say, as you were thinking, if you want to, thank you for your time. This is really generous of you. It's great to be able to do this and to have people show up.
All right, and on that, it looks like we might not have any questions right now. So again, if you think of something, please let us know. We would love to work with you on how to make use of your partner dashboard to make your program as effective as possible and drive that student success strategy forward at your institution. So thank you so much. Have a fabulous afternoon. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next time.